The cabin of Alaska Airlines Flight 2123 was a world of quiet routine, 30,000 feet above the earth. Passengers settled in, some reading, some watching movies, others dozing off. The hum of the engines promised a safe, uneventful journey from Seattle to Anchorage. Lead flight attendant Sarah Jenkins moved through the aisle, her smile calm, her actions efficient. She checked on an elderly woman, shared a word with a young family, and kept the peace. In the cockpit, Captain David Evans and First Officer Mark Chen monitored their instruments, focused and professional. Their responsibility was immense, but they carried it with practiced confidence. Among the passengers was Robert, seat 14C, a businessman on a routine trip. He looked calm, unremarkable, just another face in the crowd. He read a magazine, then closed his eyes. No one could have known the chaos he was about to unleash. No one could have guessed the fear that would soon replace the quiet calm. On this ordinary flight, an extraordinary event was about to begin. It would all start with a single, whispered sentence. The moment came without warning, a whisper that cut through the engine's hum. Robert pressed his call button. When Sarah arrived, he kept his eyes forward. "There is a bomb on this plane," he said, flat and emotionless. No threats, no demands, just a chilling statement. Sarah's training kicked in. She kept her face neutral, her voice steady. "Okay," she replied, as if he'd asked for water. She turned away, moving calmly to the front galley. To the other passengers, it looked like nothing unusual. Inside, Sarah's mind raced. She had to get this to the cockpit, fast. Her walk to the interphone felt endless. Every step was measured, every breath controlled. She forced herself to appear normal, hiding the terror inside. The knowledge she carried was a toxic secret. The safety of everyone on board now rested on her next actions. She reached the galley, heart pounding. The cabin remained oblivious, the calm before the storm holding for just a moment longer. Sarah prepared to make the most important call of her career. The fate of the flight was about to change. In the galley, Sarah picked up the interphone, shielding it from view. She used the code. "We have a credible threat in the cabin." She relayed Robert's seat number and his exact words. In the cockpit, Captain Evans and First Officer Chen exchanged a look. Their calm shattered. Captain Evans alerted air traffic control, declaring an emergency. Mark Chen pulled up emergency checklists, their training taking over. The plane was now a potential crime scene. Sarah hung up and returned to the cabin, her face a mask of calm. She offered a blanket, collected a cup, routine actions hiding the crisis. The flight attendants exchanged subtle glances, they knew. A silent network of communication passed between them. They were now the guardians of a fragile peace. The pilots were in control of the plane, but Sarah and her team controlled the cabin's emotional climate. Every second, the tension grew. The storm was coming. "Mayday, mayday, mayday," Captain Evans's voice was calm but urgent over the radio. "Alaska 2123, we have a credible bomb threat on board, declaring emergency." On the ground, air traffic control snapped to attention. The flight became the top priority. Captain Evans decided they would return to Seattle. He initiated a slow, wide turn, careful not to alarm the passengers. Every action was deliberate, balancing urgency with calm. Over the PA, he addressed the passengers. "We're experiencing a minor technical issue and must return to Seattle. The cabin crew will prepare for arrival." It was a necessary lie to prevent panic. Some passengers grew uneasy, whispering, watching the plane's unexpected turn. The thin veneer of normalcy began to crack. The hum of the engines now sounded like the ticking of a clock. Doubt spread quietly through the cabin. The reality of the threat was closing in. The crew worked to keep everyone calm, but fear was spreading. The flight was now a race against time. Every minute in the air felt longer. The storm had arrived. As Flight 2123 descended, SeaTac Airport transformed into a fortress. Police, airport operations, and federal agents activated emergency protocols. All runways cleared, the airport fell silent, focused on one incoming plane. The aircraft landed, then taxied to a remote, isolated hardstand. Passengers saw flashing lights, police cars, SWAT vehicles, fire trucks. The sight confirmed their worst fears. The plane stopped, engines off, silence inside. Outside, armored vehicles and sharpshooters took positions. The aircraft was bathed in spotlights, a stage for a crisis. Passengers watched through windows, fear growing. The captain's voice came over the PA. "Please remain seated. We are dealing with a security situation. Follow crew and law enforcement instructions." The lie was over. The truth was now clear. Uncertainty suffocated the cabin. Was there really a bomb? Was the threat real? Every second stretched into eternity. The passengers were no longer travelers, they were hostages to fear. The world outside watched and waited. The order to evacuate came. The plan: get everyone off, fast. Sarah and the crew moved into action. Leave everything. Move to the nearest exit. Emergency doors opened, slides deployed into the cold night. Passengers moved down the aisles, hands up, fear on their faces. Strangers helped each other, community in crisis. At the bottom of the slides, SWAT officers shouted, "Move, move!" Passengers ran across the tarmac, some barefoot, shivering in the cold. They huddled together, watching the plane they'd just fled. Relief at being off the plane was immediate, but anxiety replaced it. They were herded onto buses, taken to a secure terminal area. Blankets and water were handed out, but questions remained. They were witnesses and potential victims in a major security incident. They would be questioned, and they would have to wait. In a sterile lounge, adrenaline faded to exhaustion. Their journeys were interrupted, their sense of safety shattered. The ordeal was not over. The night felt endless. As passengers were cared for, the bomb squad moved in. A robot searched the plane, seat by seat, bin by bin. Hours passed. Tension remained high. Finally, the announcement, no bomb. The threat was a hoax. Relief washed over everyone, mixed with anger and confusion. Robert was taken into custody, calm and silent. He had held 178 people and an entire airport hostage with a lie. The chaos was immense. Flights canceled, travelers stranded, costs soaring. The emotional scars for passengers would last much longer. They had faced their own mortality, wondered if they would die. For many, the fear of flying would linger. The memory of flashing lights and armed officers would haunt them. The whisper had been silenced, but its echo would linger. The incident became a stark reminder of the world we live in. The professionalism of the crew and responders prevented disaster. Every threat must be taken seriously. A whisper can be as powerful as a weapon. The hoax was not harmless. It was an attack on the trust that keeps us safe.